Hello, everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday. Jaquan is still here. I have not retired him to his hibernation place yet, but he's here. I'm wearing one of the things I got, new slippers. So, but today, we're going to talk about a holiday that's actually happening right now, which is Kwanzaa. So, I'm going to give some quick Kwanzaa facts before I start the video because I actually did not put any Kwanzaa facts in my notes for today. So that's something. But I'm going to give you just some quick facts and then we're going to get into, I watched a documentary about Kwanzaa called Black Candle, which is on Tubi for free as of when you see this on Friday, hopefully. I know some movies are leaving, which one of the movies that's leaving I want to watch. I don't know if I'll review it. I kind of want to review it on TikTok, even though like eventually it will end up here. Because usually I share my TikToks and stuff, depending on how long they are. That's one thing. Like everybody copies each other, but then they make it different. So like TikTok, you can do 3 minutes. Instagram, for their reels, which are TikToks for Instagram, you can only do 90 seconds. And then for YouTube, you can only do 15 seconds. And I think maybe 30 seconds or 60 seconds. But I think it's between 15, I think it is 15 seconds or 60 seconds. So you gotta be real fast. So you gotta make it work. But anyway, let's talk about Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa is an annual celebration of African American culture from December 26th to January 1st, culminating in a communal feast called Karamu. Might have said that wrong, which usually happens on the 6th day. It was created by activist Maulana Karenga, based on the African harvest festival traditions from various parts of West and Southeast Africa. Kwanzaa was first celebrated in 1966. In 2015, a survey found that 1.9% of people polled planned to celebrate Kwanzaa. So that's about 6 million people in the U.S. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole Wikipedia page. I'm going to summarize this next part. So Karenga created the holiday, even though we're going to talk about some logistics of that, or, some differences. But he created the holiday after the Watts riots, which I think were like police riots, and people were fed up with the conditions that they were in, so they were riots. So he created it. His goal was to give blacks an alternative to the existing holiday of Christmas and give blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves and their history rather than celebrating the holidays of the dominant culture. And he was a major figure of the Black Power movement of the 1960s and 1970s. And he believed in cultural revolution before a violent revolution. So, I'm not going to go into everything. I will say, you should have. I'm already like kind of going through my review, but I really think the documentary is really informative, giving more detail than I'm going to give you right now. So I will say that. So they have 7 principles called Nguzo Saba. It's called the 7 principles. So they were developed in 1965, a year before Kwanzaa itself. They are Swahili words, and together they comprise the Kawadia, or common philosophy, a synthesis of nationalism, Pan-Africanism, and social values. So, here are the 7 principles. Umoja, which means unity, which means to strive for and maintain unity in family, culture, nation, and race. Oh gosh, I'm going to say this so wrong. Kujichagulia, which is self-determination. To define and name ourselves as well as create and speak for ourselves. Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. Ujama, which is cooperative economics to build and maintain our own stores, shops, businesses, and others to profit from them together. Nia is purpose. It's going to be like the second easiest one I'm going to be able to say. But it means to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kuamba is creativity. To do always as much as we can in a way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And then the seventh and the last one is Imani, which means faith. To believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Those are the main principles. They, of course, have lots more detail, but I just wanted to give like a basic overview, of what Kwanzaa is. So I watched the documentary Black Candle. Like I said, it's on Tubi. I think it's also on YouTube, which both are, I think both for free. I know definitely for sure Tubi. So that's all I can verify. But it was released in November 2008, directed by M.K. Asante, and it was narrated by the late, great Maya Angelou. The synopsis is, the Black Candle uses Kwanzaa as a vehicle to explore and celebrate the African American experience. Like I said, I just mentioned the narrator and the director. The Black Candle is about the struggle and triumph of African American family, community, and culture. I can't read today. The documentary traces the holiday's growth out of the Black Power movement in the 1960s to its present day reality, which, present day is according to like 2008, So I'm going to go over my pros, I'm going to go over my cons, and I'm going to give you my overall opinion, and I wrote a poem. So I'm showing off my creativity in this video. So, of course, number one pro, Maya Angelou as a narrator. She's one of my favorite poets, so I will admit I am biased on that, but I really loved her. She did a great job. She had some poetry in there. Her voice is so smooth and dynamic, and she was just exciting. She was a great addition, They had so many experts. There were African studies experts. There was doctors, philosophers, rappers. I just loved how they had so many different people to share their experience, as a Black person in America. They talked to children. They talked to people on the street. I really like that. Like I said, they had poets, rappers, choreographers, so many different people who were part of Karenga's group that first started Kwanzaa. They had so many people, experts that knew what they were talking about, and they shared their experiences. They shared what they thought about Kwanzaa. It was really great. And then I loved the footage of people celebrating. Seeing people celebrate with their families. And then there was one family who couldn't celebrate for years because of Hurricane Katrina. That was very heartwarming to me because, in a city of mostly Black people, who a lot of them lost everything, to see them do something that helps them, I can't speak today, helps them bring their family together. That's what I want to say. Bring their family together. I thought was really heartwarming. Good. My heaters keep coming on. Stay off. But it was really heartwarming to see that, and and then seeing the footage of Katrina. It was just so devastating, Yes, and I love seeing the family connect and other members passing on the knowledge of Kwanzaa to the younger generations. So I think one person in the documentary, he said, basically we have to keep this tradition alive so that when we're gone, the younger generation can, celebrate Kwanzaa. And it made me definitely feel like I wanted to celebrate it and make it a tradition. And I love the public events. And yeah, it makes me want to go next year and go to some public events and really get into the holiday. It's gonna be a slight tangent. I feel like I live like close to DC, and I feel like DC probably has more like black events than like being in Virginia. But I have not checked yet. There could be some Kwanzaa events, down here in Virginia. I just have not looked. But yeah, it definitely inspired me seeing like, the children getting involved, and they would say a lot of, I guess now we say affirmations. I'm sure they were affirmations back then in 2008. And like, once, Kwanzaa started in the 60s, I'm sure people like would say positive things about themselves, but it was really nice seeing like the children at the event saying really positive things about themselves, and like really, everybody together celebrating their African heritage and their black, African American experiences. So yeah, and unlike what I did at the beginning of this video, it was very thorough in the explanation of Kwanzaa. It wasn't very long. It was like an hour and 11 minutes. So, if you just need you want a quick overview, it was pretty detailed, honestly. And it was short, so you can get through that pretty quick. They they explain what Kwanzaa was, how to celebrate it, and the meaning of it. So, you get everything in there. And it also connected with each family and each event where people were able to say what each principle meant to them. So they would have like, for example, like when I watched one of the families who always celebrated it, they would talk to the kids, like, what do you think about this principle? What does it say to you? How do you, experience this principle? And it's also like they would talk about what they were looking forward to the next year and what they had been through that year. So that was really nice. And one of the events, they were talking about creativity and people dancing and people reading poetry and doing different things. And I really like that, how they were able to connect with the principles to what they were doing. So it also showed you while it told you. So it wasn't just watching the experts. It was actually watching people actually celebrate. It was really good. It's like a small detail, but once Kwanzaa became like more mainstream, one of the men who were like in the first, like, I think he was in Karenga's group like in the very beginning, because Karenga had an organization, I think on campus, that he was working, or he went to that school. I can't remember 100%, but he was saying, like, it's such a specific detail, but he was saying the certain candle holders, you need to have like a metal part inside the candle holder, in the where you put all the candles for Kwanzaa, and that you can't just put them in wood, because the candle has light, it's a flame. So that was like a really interesting, like, minute detail that, once it became mainstream, that like it wasn't really, it wasn't really detail oriented. It was more commercially oriented. So basically, they're like, when you commercialize something, you don't care about the little details. You don't care if the candle holder is flammable or not. Which, I mean, any candle holder should not be flammable. But I'm not a wood expert. So, but I feel like that should be like a good assumption to just, But yeah, it just shows a level of care that people who are like early involved in Kwanzaa had versus the commercialization of it, and how it kind of not lost its meaning, but how everything's commercialized. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Valentine's Day. And speaking of Valentine's Day, we have Valentine's stuff out with the New Year stuff. So it's like everything is just so commercialized that, it can lose its meaning. So I don't have many cons, but the creator of Kwanzaa, his criminal history, Dr. Malua Karenga. And I totally understand it's just supposed to show the greatness of Kwanzaa, and I really think it did. But there's also an elephant in the room. But I do understand it would not have gone with the tone to have someone who was imprisoned for false imprisonment and physical assault. I totally understand that. And he was also in the documentary. But I do know, like, now that it makes people hesitant once they learn about what he's done, if they want to celebrate it. Um, and I think of all. Oh, and I said, I think of all the people he was in the organization with, he got more recognition. Oh, I think if the if the other people in his organization got more attention, recognition, or if it was like a seen as more of a group effort, because I kind of got that sense of it too, even though he says in the documentary, it says on the Wikipedia page, he created it. It still like seemed more of a group effort as well. I felt like people would not be hesitant because now, like, you know, it's tainted because of his legacy. And so, yeah, I totally get that. Because it also kind of makes me hesitant too. But I did do a TikTok today, which I can't put on YouTube because it will be too short. So I might have to like remake it or something. But basically, um, it does make me hesitant. But I think looking outside of him and looking at the principles and looking at the community, bonds that it creates could be beneficial if you really want to celebrate it. So there is a hidden figure of the Kwanzaa movement. Her name is Sister Makenya. She was called the Mother of Kwanzaa. But if you look up Kwanzaa, there's nothing about her. She's not mentioned in the documentary either. She was a very instrumental part of the spreading of Kwanzaa in its beginnings. And she gets paid dust, which is very upsetting to me. And there's also an accusation. Of course, it's kind of hard to like verify. Like, if you look up Kwanzaa, she doesn't come up. But if you look up Sister Makenya, she comes up with talking about the Mother of Kwanzaa. But like, she's not mentioned in the Wikipedia page, in any of the main articles about Kwanzaa. Like nothing. But when I was researching, she had like one of the first Kwanzaas in 1966 in her home, I think. And it is believed that Korenga stole the idea from her. But she like doesn't get the recognition that she deserves. And I was watching a video on TikTok that said like her writings on Kwanzaa are worth thousands of dollars. But when she passed away, her family had to do a GoFundMe to be able to bury her. I just feel like that's so crazy to me. And really sad, But yeah, I wish they had mentioned her. But of course, if you even look up Kwanzaa, it's hard. There's nothing on her. So it's kind of hard. And one video I saw said that like we have this like Messiah complex, which I'm not sure if they're using the term correctly. But I'm going to paraphrase what they said. Basically, they're like, you should not iconize a man, because then the ideals are like tainted now because the man is representing them. So yeah, but I'm going to talk about that in my overall opinion. I honestly really enjoyed this documentary, and it was super informative. I love they had Maya Angelou as a narrator, and seeing all the black families. Ooh, I can't spell. Black families. Oh, I put tamales. I was writing this at like 2 a.m. It's supposed to be families. Black families and black events celebrating Kwanzaa together. Like I said, it's not very long. So you can watch it like easily at one time. Like you watch it at once. I thought it was shot beautifully and had good direction. Even though I can understand the hesitation to celebrate Kwanzaa because of Dr. Karenga, I did love seeing how it brought people together and made them appreciate their roots. So even though like I said, I was hesitant, I do like the principles and teachings of Kwanzaa. They do still appeal to me, so I would definitely look into celebrating it eventually in public events or with my own family once I have a lifetime partner and kids. But I do think I would want to go to some like events next year, like public events, so I can be with other people and learn. I would give this documentary an 8 out of 10. And I know, of course, talking about heinous crimes would have killed the joyous moods So I didn't knock it down for that only. I just wish Sister McKenya had gotten at least a little shout out, a little recognition. I don't even think she was even like, even of the people that were in Karinga's organization, I don't even think she was even like mentioned or it was even there, like to give an interview. I don't remember. All right. So I did an African style poem. It's called Eintou. I'm going to write the format, and I don't know if I'll put the background. I'm just going to put the format, but I'm going to talk about the background. It's an African American, it's a distinctly African American form of poetry. It's a West African word for pearl. So I suggest the phrase pearl of wisdom as well as the circular shape of the poems, which doesn't look like a circle. I have to look when I read my poem. So it was designed to, it was developed to establish African Americans in a wider context of American poetry. So it says a lot of African poems are free verse, which is unfamiliar to Euro-American audiences. So it upset the Euro-American audiences, which is like, who cares what y'all think? But clearly, everything's built off of what white Americans think. So to be seen as accomplished, they had to adopt the forms used by their white counterparts, suppressing their heritage and culture. So common critiques of African poetry were that it was formless or mimicking. Thus, the new form was created by and for African American poets. So it could be considered a form of protest. It could be used. It was creating a form for African American poets to use without forcing them into the white cultural tradition. So basically, it's used to pass wisdom on to others rather than observations or narratives. And it's like a haiku as far as like syllable sound. Syllable, I can't speak today. Syllable framing. Syllable count and like the way it looks. So it has 7 lines. So the first line has 2 syllables. The second line has 4. Third line has 6. The fourth line has 8, and then it goes backwards. So from 8 it goes down to 6, and then 4, and then 2 for the last line. And I'm gonna put this in the description as always. So my poem is called "We Are Made of Light." I know that my skin is not a curse for me to escape from, but an expression of my uniqueness and light that glows from within. So yeah, of course, as always, I have to ruin the form because I want to say something extra. I'm going to have a little extra syllable to say what I got to say. I guess I could have put glows within. Glows thing. Oh yeah, that would work. So I gotta edit that one. But yeah, you know how they say like melanin is like, you know, the sun loving your skin, you know. So I feel like, you know, we are made of a light, and like our light shines, and some people don't like that, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, do you guys celebrate Kwanzaa? Do you know anybody who does? Do you want to start? Do you not want to start because of what learning about Karinga? But yeah, I definitely want to start despite what the founder has done. You know, because I feel like it's really a celebration of everyone, you know, communally in your, you know, the African American people around you, and celebrating your heritage. Which I know it kind of sounds like it separate the art from the artist, and I don't like that concept because I feel like that's not good, you know. But yeah, so it's kind of like a dilemma. So, you know, what do you guys think about it? So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you celebrate. Let me know if you want to celebrate. Let me know if you don't want to celebrate. Whatever you want to say, just let me know. This is like really random, but I'm thinking about my goals for next year, And I'm going to share that next week. And they're probably going to be the exact same as this year. Although I will say I have done some of the goals. So I will share that too. Which I thought I did nothing. But you know what? If you only survive, that's what you do. You know what I mean? That's good. So yeah, I'll see you all next week. I don't know if my video will after New Year's, but if it is, I hope you guys have a happy New Year's and have fun, be responsible. Yeah. See y'all next week.